Hi, I'm Robert Harrison, Training Director here at NLP Institute of California. And today we're joined by Tim Halbum and Nick LaForce, two of our lead trainers. And we're going to talk about NLP, what it is, and how we got into it. Tim Halbum has been in the field of NLP for well over 30 years. He's been training NLP practitioner and master practitioners since 1985. And he is the co-author of Beliefs, Pathways to Health and Well-Being, along with the co-author of Powerful Questions and Techniques for Coaches and Therapists with Nick LaForce. We also have Nick LaForce with us, who's also been in the field of NLP for well over 30 years. He's an international trainer as well and co-author of Powerful Questions and Techniques for Coaches and Therapists, as well as known as the Transformational Poet. So thank you both for being here. I really appreciate you taking the time. And Tim, if we can start with you, I'm curious, how did you get involved in NLP?
Well, I'd just been out of graduate school for a short period of time back in the late 70s, and I was doing a health training for a group of faculty at the University of Utah, basically on how to deal with stress. And on break, a woman came up to me and she had some papers that she got from somewhere, and she said, "You're visual." I went, "Oh yeah, how do you know that?" And she said, "Look at this." And there was a eye accessing cue chart, which had just come out. And I looked at that and I thought, that's interesting. And I began to explore it. It turns out it was from an unpublished manuscript, yet to be published by Robert Dilts. And I started exploring that with my friends, and I could see there was a pattern there. I wasn't very good at it, but I was pretty amazed by it. So I looked all over for I could learn more NLP, and at some point I found one, and I got to go train with John Grinder and Steve Andreas and some of the early pioneers, and I've been entrenched in it ever since.
Thank you. And Tim, what got you excited about NLP?
I think what excited me most about NLP is I'd been studying psychotherapy and working as a clinical social, not a clinical social worker, but a social worker, and I knew a lot about what to do. I'd learned in graduate school. You should do this, you should do that, you should do something else. But what was wonderful about NLP is not only did they teach me what to do, but here's how you actually do it. Here's the steps. And I realized that what NLP was doing was creating and identifying patterns in human communication, in change work. And it's like, wow, if you can do that, you can help somebody with almost anything. And I'm still excited about that. It's still true. And NLP continues to evolve and grow.
Wonderful. And so what got you to dedicate your life to teaching and sharing it?
Because it works. The thing that I love about NLP, and I think has been my mission, my personal mission, is to discover what really works in terms of helping somebody create positive change and then sharing it with them. So I've really dedicated to my life to making it clear and easy to learn and fun. And not only that, powerful. So I think what's got me to really dedicate my life to sharing it is that it simply works really well when you understand it and have a deeper understanding of it.
Very nice. Thank you. And why would you recommend that someone study NLP now?
Well, I've been recommending that for years and years and years because it works. But also, what I've observed over the last 10 years and earlier is that elements of NLP are sort of being trained and developed in all kinds of other programs, management communications and psychotherapy. And there are a number of branches of psychotherapy now that utilize a lot of NLP, often without even acknowledging it. But I think why I would really encourage people to take NLP is that when you take a program like the Practitioner program, you really can understand the NLP assumptions and presuppositions, which are the principles behind it that are really important, that often you don't get. That number two, you really learn to develop your skills at observing people, what you can see, what you can hear from them, and lots more. But there's NLP training, like the specialized training like the Practitioner, will give people the depth to really be good at it. Not just learning a bunch of techniques, it's actually learning a set of abilities that are going to make you a far better communicator and have an enriched life. So, Nick, tell me, how did you get involved in NLP? I just shared how I did.
In kind of a similar way, I was doing my undergraduate work in psychology and social welfare at Chico, and the instructor assigned us to read The Structure of Magic, which I think had just come out about that time. And I became just incredibly fascinated with not only the technology, the behavioral technology that was described in it, but the whole world of possibility about how we can create better outcomes for ourselves and help other people, which is what I was learning to do at the time. And also, a secondary thing that came up is that I kind of delayed my learning of NLP until I met somebody in 1983, Richard Clark in New England, who was offering an NLP course through Omega, and it was just perfect timing for me. He was an incredible presenter and teacher, and really invited me to step into my best self, I think.
So you got involved in it and you kind of hinted at it, but what really got you excited about it?
What really got me excited about NLP is how it made sense of the world. I could understand my own thinking patterns, and I'm a consummate people watcher, and it elevated my people watching skills. I mean, just thousandfold. And also because I really wanted to help people, and NLP provides such a powerful framework for being able to help people identify their goals and achieve them, that for me it became exciting because of that, and also because of the language aspect. So neuro-linguistic programming, and I've always been kind of a lover of words, so that contributed to that aspect. I use NLP, in fact, in my poetry, the sensory systems and others that help me to write.
So I think you've given a sense of this too, but what got you to dedicate your life, or at least a big portion of your life, to sharing it with other people?
Well, I have this vision of creating a world in which we see and bring out the best in each other. And I think that of all the tools that I've been exposed to in my life, I don't think there's a better tool at helping people to access their own resources internally, to meet the challenges of the world and life, and bring out their best. And I think particularly at this time in the world, I think this is a critical set of skills that all of us could use.
You said particularly this time, you'd recommend that somebody learn NLP.
Yeah, I think particularly at this time, given the pandemic, right now we're in a pandemic. We have in California raging fires all over. So we're in this time in the world where we're faced with all these challenges. And even in the future, when we may not be faced with these kinds of challenges, every life will have challenge. And I think the ability to have powerful tools that allow you to manage yourself, that allow you to be able to set goals and work towards them effectively, that allow you to create high quality relationships with other people, are exactly the skills that we need to navigate the world right now. And I believe that people who learn NLP, I mean, you can learn little bits of it, like you mentioned earlier, but when you learn NLP through a context like at NLP California, you're getting the system that allows all the techniques to make sense. And I'll add one thing to that. I don't know any other system that talks about ecology the way NLP does. A lot of people say NLP, quote, can be manipulative, but I believe you can't actually be manipulative with NLP if you follow those presuppositions. Actually, the presuppositions themselves take into account the larger world, take into account the relationships with other people, take into account the things inside of you that might be challenging, but also have a gift for you. And so for me, that's why I want to dedicate myself to NLP, because it addresses those things in a way no other system does that I know of.
Cool.
So, Robert, I'm curious for you, how did you get into NLP?
Well, I was first introduced to NLP in 1989. That's my freshman year of college. And, I'd always loved learning, but I was a really, really slow learner, and I was diagnosed with ADD. And, I got through middle school, I got through high school with Cliff Notes and different things. But when I got to college, I was in a world of trouble, and I needed to learn how to learn. And the standard ways just weren't working. So I went to the bookstore at the library, and libraries and bookstores, looking for a book, looking for a resource. And I stumbled on to a book by Anthony Robbins, which later led me to the new technology of achievement, which is about neurolinguistic programming. Tim Halbum's featured in there along with many other famous NLP trainers. And when I read that book, it changed my life. It completely changed my life. It completely opened my eyes and gave me a whole new way to look at the world in a way in which I felt whole, and I felt that, I could actually make progress and accomplish things and find a different way to learn that didn't have to be standard.
Excellent. I love that. So you mentioned a little bit about what excites you about NLP, but maybe you can answer that more fully. So what got you excited about NLP?
What I think really got me excited in the beginning more than anything else was one of my coworkers had, and she talked about it all the time. I worked as a mental health case manager at the time, and she had this huge dog phobia. She had been attacked by a dog when she was little. The dog bit her while she was falling down a flight of stairs. And so one day after reading the chapter on phobias, I said, hey, I can help you resolve that, and then we'll go out to lunch and hang out. And we ran the process. Now, this woman had not been able to get in within 30 feet of a dog, since it had happened. She had never pet one since it had happened, and it was clearly causing a traumatic type response. 30 minutes later, we went to a Petco, and she walked all the way up to like a big husky dog, a big dog, and got her hand about a foot away. And then just went, I don't think I feel like it today. And that was it. And that blew my mind that she was that okay. And that really opened my eyes. And I said, this NLP stuff really works.
Excellent. So, so you got excited about NLP. I'm curious, what got you to dedicate yourself to sharing NLP with others?
I think in part it was seeing the experience that people had when I would lead them through an NLP process. And then there was my NLP wow experience as well. But in the end, I, was able to take NLP and take a modeling project like becoming a software engineer and go and accomplish these things. But my heart always pulled me back to helping other people. I knew that I was a helper at heart, and NLP is the best set of tools I've ever found to help people remove unnecessary suffering and reduce unwanted stuff in their life. So I've dedicated my life to helping others help themselves create a more fulfilling life ever since, and I just can't get away from it.
That's excellent. I love that. So, so why would you recommend NLP to someone else at this point?
Here's why. I think there is more stress and pressure and uncertainty in the world in a lot of ways now than there has been ever, or, in a really long time. I look at what my children are going through, wearing masks, only seeing their friends through screens, the fires in California you mentioned, Nick, all this stuff going on. There's never been a better time to be resourceful and to be very efficient and effective and economical in our actions and our thoughts and our behaviors and the way that we approach the world. And NLP is the best skill set to do that I know of, particularly starting with a foundational course like the NLP Practitioner certification training really gives the person that core skill set to really start to get clarity in their life, accomplish goals that are important, and live in a way that feels passionate and exciting and fun and fulfilling. So I don't think there's ever been a better time to learn it than right now.
Beautiful.
Nice.